Hey everyone, it's Patti Behan and thank you for joining me in the studio. In this video, I'm going to show you an archival ink resist technique. Now to do this technique, you need some archival ink and any kind of dye ink. You can use Simon Hurley dye ink or distress dye ink. The thing is that the archival ink is oil-based and the dye ink pad is water-based, so they'll resist each other and you can use two colors at the same time without getting all muddy. So what I have here is I have a background stamp and I'm going to just use this part of the stamp and I'm going to ink it up. I have some Vivid Chartreuse ink and I'll make sure I ink up the stamp really well. Okay, I know I was doing overkill here, but I always like to be better safe than sorry, to just really go crazy on inking the stamp. So I'm centering the card over the top of it, and I want to get a piece of scrap paper, and then I'm going to brayer it so that I can transfer the ink really well. And I'm just using this scrap paper here to keep things neat because there is ink sticking out of past the card here. And I just don't want to get it all messy. And then I'll just give it a little rub and make sure that you're keeping the card underneath pretty still and that it's not moving. So that's why I'm holding down with one hand and rubbing with the other. And again, overkill with the pressure that I'm using because better safe than not. Okay, perfect. And now for this technique to work, you want to put this aside and let it dry because it won't resist the ink if it's still wet. So in order to save time, I have one that I've already done, and so that we can move on. So we're done with that. And now I'm using Tropical Tango dye ink, and I'm going to brayer this ink over top. And one thing to note, when you're using the brayer, you don't want to just go back and forth like a squeegee motion, because as you can see, I'm not getting any ink on this part of the brayer. It's all going just over here. So you just want to make sure you put the brayer through the ink pad, lift it up, and go ahead and repeat until you have enough ink on the brayer. Okay, and once you have that, you can go ahead and roll this over top. And then we'll repeat until we can get the whole background covered. And again, notice I'm rolling, and I have a little string here, but I'll get rid of that in a second. Okay. All right. Now, once you're satisfied with the amount of ink you have in the background, I am just going to take a clean paper towel, and you're just going to rub off any excess ink from these stripes. You can see the difference here, I think, maybe. And as you're doing this, you want to make sure you move over to another clean spot on your paper towel, because it's not going to take off the ink. It's just going to keep transferring if the paper towel isn't clean. So you just want to move it around. So if you just did the same type of ink over each other, you just would get a muddy mess. But this is just another way to use two different colors without having to do any masking. And so there you go. Your background is complete. And let me show you some other examples of how we did this. In this one, it's just two colors back and forth and stamped on top with Archival. And here we did some stripes and stamped over with the Archival. And here we have the wood green stamp, and then the background is the dye ink pad. And then again, just the inked background with the Archival. So that's all there is to that. It's simple and quick, and you'll get great results. So if you'd like to see more tips with Archival ink, just keep watching.